the Guardian and the man from the van, man in the van, Mehcad Brooks and Jeremy Jordan!
Hey guys, how you doing?
Welcome, guys. And
Oh.
Philadelphia, happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
And Winn, you're a new father, right?
Yes.
Happy
yes,
Father's
thank
Day.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you. I left my child to come do this.
Yeah. The extra bags under your eyes were a
Oh
giveaway,
yes.
so.
That's exactly what they're from.
Is there any sleep happening in the house?
Yeah.
bit?
Just not by me. or the child. But it's all good.
All right.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I'll get us started off. Hit you guys a couple questions, but then later on in the panel, we'll definitely want to invite you guys to ask questions and get your favorite questions in with these guys. And so, well, welcome to Philly. You guys frequent visitors of the city?
I've been here a few times, and I was actually here for 3 months during 2008.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Old hat.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
Awesome.
I mean, I
How was
live
your
pretty close by, so I've been here a few times.
Okay.
Last time I was here was to watch the Cowboys beat the Eagles,
Yes.
which was really fun.
Hey,
He's a huge Cowboys fan. Don't hold it against him.
I didn't wear the hat today, so you're
Yeah.
lucky.
hey, brother.
You might not have left.
I grew up in Dallas, so my first words were not mom or dad. It was Roger Staubach was my
There
first
you go.
words, and so
You can
so,
say Starbucks?
Oh, yeah, heck
I
yeah.
can barely say that now. Like Starbucks.
Well, hey guys, you know that Comic-Cons are all about, fandom, people geeking out over all kinds of things. When you guys were kids, what did you geek out about? What was your thing that you sort of like nerded out
Batman.
about? Yeah?
I geeked out about Bruce Wayne, Batman all day. Like I was jumping off couches and with fake grappling hooks, like tackling other kids. I got expelled. It was crazy. So
Yeah, I was super into Batman, and I was a big Spider-Man nerd too, and I loved Power Rangers. Was
Yeah.
my jam as a kid.
Yeah.
So that's what comes to mind at
Right
least
on.
as a
Yeah.
kid.
But before we get into Supergirl and acting, acting really wasn't, or at least TV wasn't necessarily the beginning parts of y'all's career. Like Mehcad, you were like into fashion. You were doing fashion kind of starting out, right? A little bit?
no, I mean, it was kind of the same time.
Yeah?
I think I started. I started being born actually
Yeah.
from my mother. Yeah. Started as a baby, just like most of you guys. No, career-wise, I started kind of simultaneously.
Okay,
But,
okay. Right.
I started modeling when I was like 15, 16, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
It's like local stuff.
Yeah. Hey, that counts, man. That counts.
I mean, I don't know, like
Everything counts. Everything counts, right?
All the numbers count.
Yeah.
It was kind of all the same time for me. Yeah.
Was acting something that did you always kind of have in the back of your head, or did it come on kind of later on?
It came on when I was like 15, 16. I went to, my mother forced me to go to this camp called Leadership Enrichment Arts Program, which is called LEAP, as an acronym. And I saw my first symphony. I saw my first opera and didn't fall asleep. I saw my first musical, and I was like, wow, this is kind of interesting. And I did a play for the first time at 15, and I just realized, wow, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. And then when acting has been a part of your kind of early life, because theater, right? And so was that something, again, when you were really young, were you also aspiring to act, or did it come on later on?
No, I started a little bit late too. I mean, I was a big computer nerd. I wanted to be a scientist or something like that, and I ended up going to this big camp, and I was like, this is not for me. And I always kind of was a singer and did some community theater.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just took a leap of faith and kind of just decided to give that a try and went to school for it, and ended up being fairly successful in theater, and then slowly made my way into TV and film.
You have a favorite memory as far as in the theater,
On stage?
Yeah, on stage. Yeah.
I mean, probably
role?
my best memory was doing a show I did called Newsies back in 2012. Yeah, it was pretty great.
Great show. And also the funniest thing is I can attest to that, because Winn is like this sort of computer genius, and somehow Jeremy became like the tech savvy sort of liaison for the cast.
I did.
Like, not really. Like, if we needed Wi-Fi, we're like, Jeremy, what's the Wi-Fi? Like, if we needed,
I set up a cast Wi-Fi.
set up a router.
I got the
it was just
TV,
like,
the Netflix all
was
set
crazy.
up.
This is
I'm pretty sure you guys still use my Netflix.
We do.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Like, why would we get a new Netflix?
I don't know, but one of the users still on my Netflix is Supergirl. I'm like, and I check it every once in a while to see if you guys are like watching anything new.
We're not. We're just watching the same old crap
Yeah.
over and over again. It's crazy. You know how it is.
So how the role of Supergirl is such a, I mean, she plays such a central role to the sort of CW universe. Was that the whole idea of entering into the superhero genre? Was that something on your radar? Were you kind of just fishing around for different roles and kind of fell into it? How did you kind of step into each year's respective roles?
Sorry, are you talking about like the audition process?
Yeah. Were you seeking out kind of being
Gotcha.
in something like Supergirl, or did it kind of find you? How did you kind of get into your roles?
I was. It was the first pilot I was going out for in a while. Like, 'cause I kind of took a break because I got kind of burned out on certain things I was doing, and I read the pilot and I read the sides and it said James Olson, and it said Supergirl, and I was like, you mean that's Supergirl? That's pretty famous. I was like, that's cool. So I read it. I went in and I liked it. I liked it a lot. They liked me, and. At first it was kind of interesting because I was like, I'm black, right? And they're like, yeah. I go, okay. Let's do this. So it was kind of interesting. And, because a lot of times in Hollywood, like they'll see other people for roles.
Yeah.
Like you and I will go in for the same thing. And then they're like, and then they give it to him. And it happens all the time. Like there's times where I've actually booked the role, and they're like, and so
We go out for the same roles a lot.
Yeah.
He and I.
I could see that.
yeah.
Now, did you know, were they looking to sort of fill Jimmy Olson as a atypical or sort of break the role?
It was between me and a guy who looked like Jimmy Olson.
Wow, right on.
Yeah, so I was like, I felt pretty good about that.
Not me.
Yeah.
It was him. He had
wasn't me.
he dyed his hair red. He went all in. It's really embarrassing for him. Really embarrassing.
Now, as we know, nerds have opinions about things, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's very awesome, sometimes it's not. How do you feel like being announced and entering into that role of Jimmy Olson, different type of Jimmy Olson, and so how has the reaction been, and how do you sort of navigate that?
That's a complex question with a very simple answer. It's been surprisingly negative in some ways, and prejudiced and racist. But it's also been very supportive in some other ways. So it's almost like, I don't know, like a lot of times I'll come to the Comic-Cons and people will say, well, what's it like going from a white character to a black character? And I go, well, I've never been white, so I don't know. Don't really know what that would, huh?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I go, do you think that black people and white people prepare differently?
Yeah.
Like, we're both, like, I'm gonna read and prepare the same way that this guy is. It doesn't matter what our cultural upbringing is. I hope that we can get to a place where those kind of questions aren't in the forefront of people's minds, that as if there's like, yes, there are cultural differences that we have. Yes, there are age differences that we have. Yes, there's geographical determinations of how you conduct yourself, obviously. But do they matter in your consciousness? Do they matter in your heart? Do they change who you are? No. And I think that I've received a lot of things that I wish we were past already. So like, I mean, thanks for the question, but it's been okay. It's been difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the pioneers that make the difference in culture. It's the people that make brave choices that move the needle of change when it comes to these type of topics. And so, thank you for embracing that role, because I knew you knew walking into it, what you're kind of,
Well, it's interesting because I didn't know I was walking into that actually, and it's like I think people understand the concept of bullying, right? We all get like, okay, I don't want my son or my daughter to be bullied, right? And for something that they didn't choose, something that they can't help, but somehow in this country, we look at racism as the status quo. We look at it as not bullying. We look at it as something that's acceptable because it's part of our tradition. Yeah. Well, it's fucking bullying. That's exactly what it is. It's bullying. So if you're coming to anybody and saying, well, I don't like you because of this or this or this or that or blah, 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 my preconceived notion is this, because of something that they did not choose and cannot help, you're a bully. Period.
Amen. So Jeremy, you've been white your whole life, and tell us about
How is that? What's that like?
Tell us about the role of, Winn is really a Supergirl the TV Supergirl creation. And so what was that role like? Was that something that was fairly well formed when you're stepping into it, or what was that like?
No, I mean, in terms of like getting the part, like I was broke and needed a job. So I went in and auditioned for a whole lot of stuff. And this is the one they gave me. So, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It got picked up. A lot of pilots don't even go forward. So I was lucky. And this guy. This guy. It was cool. I mean, I knew that my character was like sort of semi-based on a villain. So I thought maybe I was gonna go to the dark side. But I realized pretty quickly that they were just gonna sort of redeem that quality, and then I was just too nice and too fun to go evil.
Could you guys picture Jeremy as evil?
Yeah.
Yes. The eyes, it's all in the eyes.
Super lukewarm.
Sometimes. Okay. Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
You just see this. You see this.
Yeah.
This is what I give to people I like.
That's right.
So, piss me off.
I note to self: do not get on Jeremy Jordan's bad side.
Do you ever do that thing like whenever you see like a movie with like bad guys, or it's like a really intense movie? I don't know what. This is such a random thing to say.
Like Last Action Hero.
No, like I just see like a movie that like really pumps me up. And I'll like
Last Action Hero.
I'll leave the theater and I'll go to the bathroom and I'll be like washing my hand and I'll look in the mirror like this. Yeah. I could do that. Just like pull my hair back. I'm like, just stupid stuff.
As the other people in the bathroom run out, they're like,
yeah. I was like,
yeah. It's like if you're watching John Wick and you leave the theater, like you want to fight 11 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I probably shouldn't do. I don't know kung fu like Keanu. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. This is crazy.
So as you look back at these several amazing years, is there a way you can kind of wrap up the past few years? What's the journey been like for you personally?
Wow.
What you expected, let's say, or has it been completely different than what you expected?
Well, I guess I'll start because I already left the show. I know. Spoiler alert, if you're just catching up on Netflix, I'm really gone.
He doesn't make it, yeah.
I know, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
We hope.
But in the future, so
Yes.
you're really not here anymore.
That's true. Yeah. Yes, well, we don't have to get into the whole time travel conundrum. But yeah, no, it was a good experience for me. I mean, I met some great people, and I set out what I meant to do. I mean, I've been sort of cornered for a lot of my career as like the guy that sings, and I really wanted to do something outside of that. And I always loved superheroes and stuff, so it was kind of a perfect role for me to kind of just focus on that aspect of things. And we did our first season in LA, and then they shipped us up to Vancouver, which kind of changed a lot of things for me. I was not as close to my friends and family, and spent a couple years away from my wife, and so I made the decision.
I really missed her.
I know. Get out of here. So I made the decision to see if I could to get off the show, and they let me, and I I left after 3 seasons and was very grateful to all that, and start a family with, and went back to Broadway, which was what I always loved to do, and hopefully I can come back and do some guest appearances, because it'd be fun to be Winn again. But it was a nice, it was a good journey for me that luckily didn't feel like I was trapped in it for longer, because I was starting to feel that sort of pressure of like, oh, you have to stay on the other side of the country and sort of live out these whatever 6 years and just deal with it, and I think it was a good choice for me.
Well, in the DC world, no one's ever really dead, so.
That's right.
You never know, yeah.
Well, I'm not dead.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not even sort of dead.
You kind of haven't been born yet, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of haven't. Yeah.
Mehcad, how do you kind of summarize the past few years for you?
It's been, I mean, we're family. Like that's the I think the biggest takeaway that I didn't expect is that this guy right here, Melissa, Kyler, David, we're family. We're family. Katie, like, I mean, everybody. Like we actually get together. We have dinner. We have game nights. I've never seen a group of actors who actually get along and like each other this much, which is that's very rare. Like, there's a lot of times there's this sort of cliche idea people have about Hollywood where like someone says action and you're kissing somebody and you're holding them and they say cut, and these two actors don't even talk in real life. That happens a lot. That actually happens more than you think it does. And so when you're having people who, like, when you're 6 or 7 strong and you're all going to dinner and you're all like, going to escape rooms because this guy set that up, and like you're all going whale watching.
Obsessed with escape rooms.
Yeah, he's obsessed. Like, he's got a problem.
No, I'm really good at them. It's not a problem. It's actually a asset.
You are really good at them because you spend all your free time in them. So, as we're brothers, see. So, like, I think for me,
zombie apocalypse happens, you're coming to me to get you out of.
If the zombie apocalypse does happen, you'll be a zombie. So I'm not coming to you.
Okay.
Dilemma. Want to keep going?
No, you go on your.
All right, cool. Yeah. It's.
Go on.
It's been really great. Like, coming into the superhero world, which is such an honor. I've always wanted to be a superhero, and then like the first time I put the Guardian costume on. If any of you guys are like really heavy into cosplay, I think you probably understand what I'm saying. Like, when you put that costume on, you think you're somebody else, right? I learned very quickly that I'm not. When I got hit in the face a couple times, a couple boo-boos. Like, I was like, oh, this is not titanium. This is plastic. It was 3D printed. I shouldn't do that. Okay, cool, got it. All right. So it's been humbling in some ways. It's also been a lot of fun. It's been great.
Speaking of the Guardian, how demanding has that role been? As far as, you look like a fit dude, but was it pretty physically demanding? All the the stunt work and the martial arts and all that.
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Basically, anytime that you're impressed with the martial arts work that I'm doing as Guardian, that's not me. It's a guy named Mike Lewis, and he's incredible. He's great. He does a few other he does David stuff. He does John Dingle stuff. So like, he's fantastic, and I can barely see out the helmet. So like, I was having trouble walking. Like, literally, I was like, because I can't see out of the slit, so you have to like look down and see out of the bottom where your chin is. And so I would like try to walk up and say lines and go. Are we walking into people? It was horrible. And then so finally what we did was like, okay, just Mehcad, don't trip and fall and bust people in the face. Just stand there, and then you can just talk into the helmet later. I'm like, oh, this is great. So that's
right
what
on.
we do.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
So before we get to audience questions, Jeremy, very important question. So we lost Beasley, but we gained Witten. Which do you feel like that's a good exchange? It's a cowboy question, sorry.
We lost Beasley. You're talking about Cole Beasley from the Dallas Cowboys.
I had no idea what any of this was.
It took me a second. Well, I'm reading the Harry Potter books right now, so I heard Weasley. And I was like, that's not what he's saying.
But we gained Witten, so is that a good exchange for you? You take that?
That is yet to be seen because Cole Beasley's my boy making sauce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I know.
Okay.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, he makes sauce anytime he gets a touchdown.
Yeah,
he
he makes sauce.
a
That's
whole-
his dance.
It's a
his
thing.
touchdown
Got
thing.
it. Is he a wide receiver?
Yes, he's a wide receiver.
Okay, well, don't yell at me.
He's a slot guy.
I don't.
A slot receiver.
He's
yeah.
small. He makes the small
I look
people.
like I play football, but I don't watch it. I don't like it.
See, he plays football, but he kind of looks like me.
Yeah, he's a little guy. So.
No wonder you like him.
Well, you know what? gives me hope for those short
I
guys.
totally get it.
I love when a short guy succeeds in football. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're getting off course. I think we should do.
Do we have a course?
Hey, you have questions out here, so why don't you go ahead? Yeah, speak up.
I love you guys. I think you guys are great together.
We love you too. Thank you.
And tell me where you are. Do you guys both get pranks on each other?
All the time.
Can you tell us any of them?
Yes.
Oh God.
I'll tell a story that Jeremy hates.
Oh God. I know what this story is. This is not a prank story though. If it's the story I think about it.
I mean, it's not a prank story, but it's funny. It's really, really funny. So, there was one day. I think we were working on a weekend, right? It was Saturday.
I don't.
It was crazy. Like TV shows are crazy. Sometimes you have 16-hour days. Sometimes you're working 6 days a week. Sometimes you're working 7. Depends on what it is. So we had a Saturday afternoon shoot, and we were there with Laura Vandervoort, who played
Indigo
on our season 1. And she's supposed to, and she looks incredible. Like she's covered in blue and like has these lights that are coming out of her skin and all this kind of stuff's happening. It's really kind of interesting. And so we're both kind of just like watching her like, wow, she looks great. This is amazing. Like 5 hours of makeup. Wow. And she's supposed to appear out of nowhere, right? And it was right after lunch, and so
That's key.
yeah, and so she appears out of nowhere, and like I don't know if you guys remember the first season, but it was way more Scooby Doo. Yeah, you were like, "Arr!" Right? You're surprised by everything. We somehow bumbled into like solving the mystery every time. Like those darn kids. Like that's how it felt, and so that's how I felt shooting it too sometimes, but. She's supposed to come out of nowhere, out of the ether.
At a computer screen.
I don't remember. And then he and I are supposed to be very afraid. So I jump back, I'm like, ah! Jeremy jumps back and goes, ah!
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this face was, he was hoping nobody heard it. But the thing
Everybody
about
heard
film
it.
sets it's completely silent. You can hear a pin drop. So even a little like muggle fart sounds like somebody had a police siren hooked up to it. So like the whole crew was like, and then and it's all Lauren's coverage, like the camera's facing her, right? And so she's like this.
She was so mad.
She was so mad.
She had such a good take, and we just started laughing, and she's like, "All right."
And we're dying. We're off camera, like sweating, crying, and she's like getting through her lines. And so, if you ever watch that episode, just know that he was functifying the air 2 feet this way,
It was
and Lauren is a consummate professional.
More of an audible moment and less of a audit.
It was bad.
What is the olfactory? Thank you.
Wow. So moral of the story is that we are extremely unprofessional, and she was.
Yep. Basically.
She was very professional at that
Yeah.
moment. It's not a prank, but it's funny.
Right on. Yeah. How about this dude over here? Yeah, go for it. Speak up.
Hey, man.
This one's for Jeremy. If you could come back on the show as anyone else, who would it be?
As anyone else?
He'd come back as me. I mean, come on.
Nah, I'd look ridiculous in that costume.
Just be like, ew.
Somebody else, who would I come back as? I would come back as
You have a villain or a superhero power.
maybe
that
I
you
would
you
come. I
have?
would come back as my father.
Ooh, there you go.
And see what it was like to be on the dark side. Because I kind of, when I joined the show, I thought maybe that would have how it was going to turn out,
Yeah.
and so I was kind of looking forward to that for a little bit, and then it never happened. So,
have you had a chance to play like a pure villainous role, whether on stage or on screen? Okay.
Not villainous. I mean, I've played like a person that killed other people, but
that would qualify as villainous.
But no, I don't think so. I think it was more of
It depends on why you kill them, though, right?
Yeah, it was more of a kill or be killed sort of of a situation, not like you betrayed me and now you will die.
Yeah.
Like, no, not so much.
You didn't bring me back my change from Baskin Robbins.
Exactly. That's an energy that I definitely haven't sort of been able to wrap my
Mehcad,
sink my teeth into.
Have you had a chance to
play a villain?
Yeah.
I have a movie coming out called Grace. It's a thriller. Comes out next year where I play a sociopathic con artist.
Oh,
named Grace.
No, he's not named Grace. That'd have been good though. But playing a villain is a lot of fun. And I think the coolest thing about playing a villain is you don't think you're wrong. Right, like the key to playing a good villain is having fun in your dysfunction, like making sense out of it, not judging that person and saying, okay, well, this is where I'm at, and how did I get here? Yeah, and that's kind of a fun thing to do.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on this side. And so, how about start with the green jacket? Yeah.
Mehcad, my question for you is: this is the one that's in the forefront for me. What was it like when they told you that you were going to be taking on the mantle of the Guardian? Since that normally wasn't said before, because I've never associated Jimmy Olson with the Guardian to begin with.
Right.
Especially when you looked at
the comics are different. Yeah.
Right. Jimmy Olson was like Turtle Boy and like Elastic Lad.
Turtle Boy.
Yeah. Like I was like, please don't give me those. Please don't make me look like a turtle with Inspector Gadget next. Like it's crazy. So the reaction I had, so Andrew Kreisberg was talking to me about their choice to make Jimmy into the Guardian. Like he's like, I have a secret to tell you. I said, oh, cool. So I'm in the break room and I'm getting coffee, and he's like, so we're gonna make you Guardian. I go, of who? I was like, oh, you're gonna give me a kid in the show? That's cool. That's like, am I adopting? Like, who am I adopting? And they're like, no, his Guardian. He's like, you never heard of the Guardian? I was like, no. And so he starts swiping and he shows me a picture and I go, ah! Literally was my reaction. That was verbatim. That was my reaction. Because I was the kid who was jumping off of couches with the towel safety pin to his neck, like trying to do wrestling moves as a superhero, like a weirdo. But I've been trying to do that my whole life. Yeah. And so like when somebody's like, hey man, you get to go look pretty badass and wear this cool costume and fake hit people and not get hit back, that's cool. You know, that sounds great. I get to punch you in the face for work and not get punched back. This is awesome. He gets to get punched, that's great.
And then he came to me and he said, you get to sew it. Yeah. You get to sew the costume.
I was like, everybody's dreams are coming true. You're now a seamstress.
Right. So cool. Thanks. Yeah. Can't wait.
That's so good.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I co-host a podcast called Supergirl's Attic. So we are really into
Yes, we'll do it.
Oh, right.
the mental health themes of the show.
Right.
So my question is for both of you, how does it feel portraying men in particular dealing with trauma and being allowed to be vulnerable and emotional? And where would you like to see the characters go on the emotional level if you get the opportunity?
That's a fantastic question. I can't speak. I've never been a woman, so I can't talk about that part. But like as a man, I think that we do. I think men learn the wrong things when we're kids. I think that we learn that it's strong to keep it inside. I think we learn that it's something that our strength comes within our structure of not showing our feelings and our emotions. That our strength comes within bottling it up or swallowing it or not bothering other people with it. And I can handle this. I'm a man. I can handle this. That's wrong. That's just unresolved trauma, and that's just waiting to bubble up or explode or burst. And we have to start looking at that differently, right? Like, I'm a sensitive person. I'm 255 pounds. I'm 6'4", but I will cry before you, like, if it bothers me. And I do that because I don't really care what you think. I care how I feel. I care to make sure that gets out, and that I'm not building on this reservoir of trauma that I've had my whole life. And like, so basically, if you wrong me, like, because I know you would, I can see it in your eyes. When you wrong me, I'm only dealing with what just happened now and not what happened when I was 12, right? And I think that we have to really, take ownership of that.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sensitive too. But I'm probably gonna keep it inside. So.
He'll blog about it later.
In terms of like the character, what I do sort of like about the show is that, for the most part, all the male characters are very open emotionally in the show, and if they're not initially, then they sort of come to that throughout. Through whatever traumas or whatever happens and experiences, and tend to not keep it bottled in, and tend to express it to each other or to other people, or in relatively healthy ways, at least the main characters. So that's always been kind of a good thing about the show is I think that the characters, for the most part, tend to deal with emotions in a sort of a model way for maybe young people that are watching the show, being like, oh, they could handle that, or they figured out how to get through that, maybe I could too, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of show where everything's bottled up. It's not like your sort of Arrow, where it's all just like angsty and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that kind of show, but it's just that's not the show.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of being a kind of female-centric led show, Melissa, she's such an awesome Supergirl. She doesn't seem like she's a terror on set. She seems like she's such a sweet, a sweet kind of leader of the show.
She seems that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Like, what would fans not know about working with her that may be a story or two that you guys could share?
Melissa has this thing where if you're late, she cuts you. She has an X-Acto knife, and if you...
I knew it.
With 2 minutes late?
Yeah.
It's 2 cuts,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not participating in this.
That sounds like her.
She carries 6 ounces of lemon juice, pours them in the cuts.
Yeah.
It's very specific and weird. I don't even know why she does that when I think about it. No, she's amazing. She's like our sister.
Oh yeah.
She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life, not just in Hollywood, but just period.
Yeah, and she doesn't really complain about it either. And she shows up, and she's always kind, and I mean, she can't do an act out to save her life, but otherwise she's pretty great.
Act out means that when you go to commercial, the scene, right, the moment before you go to commercial.
Oh yeah, like when you're in a commercial, it's like showing your face right before the commercial. She can't do it.
Right. No, she can't.
She literally will start laughing no matter what. If it's a funny scene, it's a terrifying, like no matter what, because she knows that it's the last thing you're gonna see before they try to sell you Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
She can't handle it.
I actually have an act out challenge video with me and her on Instagram, and it's really funny actually because she can't do it. Like she's just like, and she's the first person to admit like, I can do so many things, but not that. Yeah. And it's really funny because some actors have like different methods. Like there's an actor, I won't say his name, but
go ahead.
No, I won't say his name.
Jeremy Jordan.
No, I won't say his name. But you guys all know who this is. He's not on Supergirl, okay. But he's got this method where he's like, okay, if I'm doing an act out, he's like, I'm just basically gonna act like I'm smelling my own fart and try to figure out what's in there.
So he's like Joey Tribbiani.
Yes, Joey.
Is that really?
Yeah,
it's from Friends.
In Friends.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion does that, and I don't care.
There you go.
I don't care.
He learned from Friends.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought he made that up.
He's just reusing Joey Tribbiani.
I thought he made that up.
Yeah.
I had an acting coach that one time told me, he goes, if you can't do those, he goes, they're kind of hard, like there's a lot of pressure. He's like, think about what you have to do that day other than work. I was like, laundry, food. Am I hungry? Where did I put those socks? Where do socks go after the dryer? Is there a Shaka Khan who takes my sock? Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
She's great.
Yeah.
She sings and dances and acts like a
I'm in
fool, and
soccer.
we all love it.
well, we would have thought
I don't know what's
that
happening over here. This
we would have
guy's
thought
brain.
kryptonite would have been her weakness, but apparently it's the act out. So let's get another question. How about way off to the side? Yeah, speak up loudly.
First of all, I love you both. You're amazing, and I love the show.
We love you too.
And my question is there one line or moment in the show either that you just really enjoyed? It doesn't have to be your character, or a moment that really defined your character?
The line that I really enjoyed was one of Jeremy's. It was.
He's not gonna drop it. He's just not
It
gonna
was,
drop
I mean,
it.
it's an ad lib. I mean, it wasn't written, but the writers will still get credit for it. So I thought that was brilliant. It was just a brilliant button on the scene. That was just. I love you, man. It was great.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy they cut that.
Yeah.
For me, you know, as the show progressed, not so much in season 1 because we were kind of like tied to like the CBS and the script was like you have to say these words exactly as they're written. But as we kind of got farther into the series, they gave us a little bit more leeway, and so you know I'd get a script and there'd always be like 1 or 2 jokes, at least per scene for me, because that's my whole purpose as Winn, is to tell the jokes. And
You're good at the jokes.
well, yeah. But I often would adjust the jokes.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
You know, I'd try out different jokes, different takes, or see if I can make it funnier, or try to make people laugh during the takes. And so my favorite parts were always when they, on a rare occasion, kept one of my original jokes, you know, on the show. Because a lot of times they just get cut. They write it and then like I'll watch the show and like if I had 15 jokes in an episode, like 3 would make it. So it was hard to watch that, but every once in a while you'd get a keeper that was you know a JJ original. That's what I always liked.
And I got to say, sometimes it was really hard acting opposite Jeremy because he is so funny, and they would give him pretty good jokes, but he would always make them different and better and weirder. And
Can I tell you my favorite moment with you?
Sure.
In season 3? It was you and David, and I was sitting at the computer.
Yes.
I was sitting at the computer, like, beneath you, and you were, like, having a conversation above me.
Right.
And it was like a racially charged conversation. And at the end, you resolved it by shaking hands and, like, staring at each other. And so they're shaking hands, staring at each other, like, waiting for the camera, and I just went like this. Looked up at both of them, and they're like,
yeah, it's
"Get the
like
hell out of it!"
tears on the edge of my eyelids.
Oh, it was
David's
so
looking
good.
intensely, and we're like,
And I was like,
and then Jeremy goes,
That didn't make it. They didn't make it to the episode, unfortunately.
He knew he was leaving at that point and didn't care.
No, I just did everything I could to try to make everybody laugh.
And you did, and we miss you for it, man.
Racial reconciliation, man. This is what it's all about. So.
Yeah.
Let's get a question here. Let's get, go ahead. Yes, speak up.
Hey guys, my name's Alexa. Huge fan.
Hi, Alexa. Alexa, play question.
Yes.
My question to you guys is, what is the one thing you found most challenging about working on Supergirl, and how did you overcome those challenges?
It's like feel like there needed to be one more thing at the end of that. Oh yeah, I mean, for me, it was like I was saying. For me, it was like the location, proximity from my friends and family. We were in Vancouver, which is a beautiful city when it's not raining, which is pretty much every day we shot there. At least when I was there for 2 years, it rained every damn day.
It rains
But,
367 days a year.
yeah, so you know, I had a tough time with that sort of stuff. But for the most part, you know, actually shooting we had each other. So like if there were ever issues with the script or issues with our characters or issues with other people on set, we always had each other to kind of fall back on. So it never felt like hopeless or anything like that. It wasn't that kind of a energy, at least not for me.
Yeah, I think it's difficult taking on a character that people already have an idea about. And Jimmy Olson was created in 1940 by Jack Kirby, who a lot of people in those days lived monochromatic existences. They only saw one type of person, you know, in their daily lives, right? So the difficult thing I think was that, you know, since we're making a show for the 21st century, if we had created some of these characters in 1990 or 2015, you know, Jimmy Olson might be an Asian guy.
Yeah.
Could be. Supergirl might be Latinx. Like, we don't know. Like, so like, but the genesis of these characters was a time when people didn't really, they didn't intermix. Yeah. And so I don't think that people really saw, you can't blame the last generation, you can't blame Jack Kirby, but like that was their reality.
They wrote what they knew.
They wrote what they knew. Yeah. And our reality is different. And I think the most difficult part about that was just sort of seeing that a lot of people were still stuck in the 1940 version of it, still stuck in that reality. And once again, there's been a lot of support, but that was, if you're asking me what's the most difficult thing, it's that.
Yeah, there's a lot of love in the fan community. A lot of love, and those are the kind of people you meet at these sorts of things.
Right,
at the
it's like
same
90% love.
But then sometimes some of the loudest voices are very, very hateful and disrespectful. And you know, coming into this, I mean, I had a little bit of fame and a little bit of sort of exposure to that, but not a lot. And then you really start to see when you do something bigger like this. And you learn, I'm sure, and you probably long before I did, but especially social media, you learn very quickly that you have to learn how to drown out all the negative sort of things, whether it's racial or, you know, just about how you look like or the way that you said or dealt with certain characters or something that you did not even on purpose or something that you didn't do that they're, you know,
or that the writers wrote that you have nothing to do with. I mean, you're like, I was just doing my job.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so much stuff that's that can be negative, that can be difficult to handle. But it's easier when you can sort of remember these sorts of moments and you know, the people that love the show and that are, you know, incredibly positive.
Right. Like you guys,
majority of people.
I mean, like we love coming to these because. He and I were talking about it yesterday, and we're saying it's rare that you go to a place where everybody you meet is happy to see you. No one's disappointed to meet you. like when do you guys get that? Where it's like you 35, 40, 50 people come to you an hour and no one's disappointed? Like, this is great. Like, you know, that doesn't happen at Starbucks. Like, half of the people there are contemplating suicide. So it's like. It's a great thing. This is what makes us feel good.
Oh,
so we appreciate you guys.
That's awesome.
Honestly.
Well, I think unfortunately that's a great way to end our panel because we're out of time. Is there something that you guys can we look forward to seeing you guys in the next? You mentioned your movie. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? When's it going to come out again?
There's no release date. I think it's spring of 2020.
Okay. Any other projects you're working on or anything that you want to share about?
Nothing that I can talk about.
I don't know.
Anything you tease about your character in the future? Anything as far as Jimmy?
Nothing that I can talk about.
God, you're no fun.
Maybe you get to keep this next year.
That's
just
right.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
How do you guys feel about this?
Yeah. That's something. Okay.
I didn't ask you.
All right.
No.
All right. I see how it is. Jeremy, how about you? Is there anything?
You know, I've been doing a lot of Broadway stuff lately, but that's kind of done. But you know, I've been trying to work on this album that I've been trying to make for a while, so hopefully that'll get done one of these days.
Hey, love you.
What? It's a process. We'll talk about it later. I'm talking to the fans, Mehcad.
We loved you in.
Sorry, fans. Sorry about that.
Jeremy, we loved you in the last 5 years. Any chance we're going to see you in a musical film anytime? Possibly?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a film that is happening soon, but you'll learn about that later if you want to, but I can't say anything about it. I did a play that is coming on Netflix called American Sun, which is really great. Really beautiful play. I think that's later in the year. It's coming out on Netflix. So
Right.
You know, little things here and there.
All right.
Is it a play version, or is it like?
It's a play. We filmed the play, but it's like we filmed it like a movie.
Awesome.
It's a cool like hybrid thing. It's super cool.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, me and Kerry Washington just yelling at each other. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
If you're gonna yell at somebody,
Yell at her.
yell at Kerry Washington.
She'll yell back.
That's what I always say.
Are you guys going to be on the floor for a little bit longer today?
I think
Like-
so. Yeah, we got to
Yeah.
do some photos and
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap right here. It's all good.
Yeah.
Guys, definitely check them out on the showroom floor. Hey, Philly, let's thank Mehcad and Jim for being here. Have a great Philadelphia Comic-Con.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end. You can subscribe here to subscribe to the channel. There's more videos off to the left. And Mr. J says, don't forget to ring that bell button for more notifications.